Hey, everybody, this is Martin Steed. And when you think about culture, before they were talking about Black cinema culture, before every young person thought about being a director, before they thought about Idris Elba, before Taraji was the rage, before Anthony Anderson was somebody that was thought of and sought after, and before Kevin Hart grabbed our hearts, there was someone who envisioned there was a professional side and there needed to be a union. I'm going to allow him to share where and how this truly iconic husband and wife dynamic power couple in Hollywood saved and began to give and nurture a vision for ourselves as Black people. He may never get the Medal of Freedom, but I hope he does from a president one day. But if not, we say thank you at Rolling Out for 25 years of being at the forefront before there were any other Black film festivals making their way through, but also being partnered with the biggest in the business to showcase the way for others and cut the path. I'd like to introduce you to two of my favorite people, Mrs. Nicole Friday, because I've got to represent my sister first. That is clearly his partner in life, and my dearest brother, Jeff Friday. How are you both?
Great,
We're
Munson.
doing well,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you so much for that incredible introduction. It's always a pleasure speaking to you and seeing you.
You know,
That,
it's
that,
true.
re- that really was quite an introduction, bro. We appreciate that you appreciate us.
Well, no, I just don't want the history to ever be told that we were invited to the Academy Awards and any of these other places, and that you weren't the first to begin to teach, educate, the place that a Will Packard would want to go and hope to get in and be able to talk on a panel and be able to be introduced to those executives in LA. I don't know that we say it loud enough for those who are the first. I mean, it's just amazing. I think of, if you would, a Malcolm X, a Jesse Jackson of Hollywood. They're not going to say it, Jeff, but I know how hard it is to be a Black entrepreneur, feed your family, have a dream for an entire race, both in America and around the world, and know that there are more no's than there were yeses, even though today the cachet of being in Black film and being a part of Netflix and getting the first look deal seems easy. But we both know that had you not paid the runway, which is what you did for Black film, nobody's saying thank you loud enough. There ought to be some scholarship that Netflix and everybody else pays for. Obviously, you've had good partners, but clearly I want to say it out loud. Where were you when you thought of ABFF, and where were you when you knew that the culture, the Black community, and Black professionals and Black dreams needed your vision?
Yeah, that's a good question. And we've been rolling for a long time, no pun intended. We've been rolling for a long time together. And I remember you being right there in support of it 25 years ago. But as you know, I was working in advertising. And 1997, I was working for another icon, of the real icon, Byron Lewis,
right?
One of our culture icons, right? And I went to Sundance Film Festival in 1997 to see Love Jones, which is one of our favorite movies of all time. Most Black people love Love Jones, right? Yeah. And I had a great time. It was snowy, it was interesting, it was artistic, it was intellectual, but you know what it wasn't? It wasn't Black. It wasn't Black and brown. And I realized that there was an industry of people who were determining what we got the chance to see and who produced and who financed and who directed, and we weren't a part of it. And I came back to New York and talked to my boss, Mr. Lewis, at the time, and he was like, well, what happened? I said, it was great, but it was primarily white men determining what the world consumes in terms of film. So white men made determination about everything that we've seen. It kind of starts at festivals like that, right? That's where the infrastructure is built. And I asked the question, why aren't there Black people here? And if we built something like that, would Black people show up? And to Mr. Lewis's credit, he said, it's a good idea, and I'm going to support that. And that's how we met, Munson, because you were working with Universal at the time. So he put up the first, we talk about taking a chance on somebody, he put up the seed money for the very first ABFF, which was in Acapulco, Mexico, back in those days. And to answer your question, bro, I just always knew that it felt unfair. It just felt unfair. And then I was friends with people like Halle Berry, Regina King, Lorenz Tate, and they were all out here working, kind of hustling by themselves. And John Singleton and Spike. And I also said to myself, well, why aren't you guys, don't you have dinner? Because I'm from New York and New Jersey, right? And I would go, well, don't you guys have dinner like once a week and talk about how you build together? And they're like, no, because the industry is built that we get these gatekeepers around us once we get hot. And the gatekeeper's job is to make sure we don't talk anymore. That's their power structure. Because if you know what happens when you get a bunch of Black people in a room, shit changes, right? So the gatekeepers, the publicists and the managers and the agents, very few are Black. None were Black in 1997, almost none. Their job is to make sure that we don't communicate, that we stay separate, because there's strength in what? Numbers, and there's strength in power. So our job, and we partnered with Warrington Hutland, who's running the Black Filmmaker Foundation. So we said, we're going to shake the whole thing up. And we created this festival, but really what it was a unity event to bring Black folks together, share information, help Will Packers of the world, help Ryan Coogans of the world, but more importantly, show support of each other. And then it just happened. The first year, 90 people showed up, and next year Denzel Washington came, then it became a thing. But it was not easy. There were a lot of doubters. In fact, our mantra was because Holly wouldn't. They would ask me, why are you doing this? And I say, because Holly wouldn't, and I just got, every time someone challenged the validity of what we were doing, it inspired me more. I just got more angry, and I just got more amped. And then we just kept going. And every year you'll see another success. And Nicole and I met in year 2, and we've been rolling together since 1998. Building this institution, and really proud of it. And your words make me feel good, brother. I have to tell you that, because I don't hear it a lot. We don't hear it a lot. And we personally think that our efforts to some degree are appreciated, but I'd say, if I'm being honest, our efforts have been underappreciated. That's how we honestly feel. And I don't talk about that a lot, but we don't feel that,
I think the thing for me is also having, as a brother, when you're sitting there working and you've got to have a sister with you that believes in your dreams. And I want to say thanks to my sister when it ain't good. Because I know there are months where all of a sudden the sponsor decides, well, what? This ain't what I thought it was. This ain't that thing. What's it like, if you would share, to have a partner who has a vision that is not a 9-to-5 and clearly is not yet in vogue, and you're working to say, I'm going to link my life to you? What was that like for you? And once again, thank you so much for demonstrating what a union looks like for two visionaries. Nicole, you want to take that one, or? Yeah, that was for me. For her.
I think that was for me. Yeah. It's funny because I don't think that at the time when Jeff probably started the festival, when he had this vision for the festival, that he had any idea that it would grow to what it is today, that it would be 25 years later that we're still talking about this. I think that he knew that there was a need for this platform so that we could come together as a community and showcase what we are, Black talent. But again, I don't think that he knew then. And so when I came aboard and start rolling with him a few years later, I certainly didn't either. And I think year after year in doing this, and even, I would say even now, I wouldn't say that, we see this happening 25 more years. I think each year we understand the purpose, we understand the vision, we understand the necessity. And so we keep going. Whether you mentioned something about, sponsors re-signing or signing on and what have you, we fight for those things to happen because we do believe, and even though it's become in vogue for Black people to be in front of the camera and or behind the camera, we do believe that it's still not enough. And we do believe that this is necessary. This platform is necessary. And we do feel fortunate to be able to provide that. And so me jumping on with Jeff, and I'm a ride or die type of person anyway. So if it's a vision that he truly believes in and he has showcased that throughout the years, then I'm right there beside him and I'm going to help him and do whatever it takes so that we can make this thing great.
You know, I like that, but that's so Howard University. So all of a sudden, you know, because you think about, I'm doing a project and I shared it. You know, if Jeff, if you had to finish this sentence, because we met, and you were talking about the fact that you and your wife share Howard, the Black culture experience, the fact that you could see a family created because we met, what would you say that how you weave that into your what I consider cinematic life story now, because the two of you have met?
I would say because we met, I feel like I can do anything.
Ooh.
Because what you have when you have your life mate is you have some place to fall. You have a cushy place to fall. And if you knew, it's almost like walking on a tightrope, right? Or doing a stunt. If you know that you got a mattress, you're going to take chances that you wouldn't take if you're going to fall on concrete, right? And so I always got some place to fall. I've got some open arms to say, it'll be all right. We'll try again next time, or don't worry about it. And so,
oh, man, you gonna make me fly home tonight. That's off the record.
You better get on that plane now. You know, and so it allowed me to be courageous, you know, and take some chances. And there were some lean years. It's always been lean. It's never been profitable. The profit is in the it's been purposeful, but not profitable. You know, I could have been on Wall Street doing a bunch of things. You know, I wasn't supposed to be running a film festival in a film or I didn't have any aspiration to do this. I was going to run an advertising agency, you know. But that's it, you know, because of her, I just feel so courageous, and I feel I'm not scared to fall, man. And we've taken a lot of chances together. And what I love about it is if I think it's a good idea and she thinks it's a good idea, we don't have anybody else to get permission from. And that's what why entrepreneurship is so wonderful, right? Because your boss is you. And that's empowering, man. But the downside of being an entrepreneur is when you fall, you typically fall on hard concrete by yourself. So if you could find your life partner, your wife, to be your business partner, it's challenging because there's some moments where they ain't so great, but I really do think there's no more powerful duo than a Black husband and wife team who grind together. I don't think there's anything more powerful than that.
So when you think about because I met you, Nicole, and you're thinking about Howard, and you're thinking about the tenets of being at a Black college, how do you think that shaped your identity as it related to, I can actually write a love story with a Black man and he'll be intelligent, he'll want to provide for my children, he'll want to provide a home. How did Howard in particular kind of give you any nuances of what that possibility was?
Yeah, I mean, Howard was the foundation. Just being around amongst people with like minds and who have a vision and who want to succeed. I mean, that's what Howard's the Mecca. That's what that's all about. So I think that for me, it was always I will end up with someone who has a purpose. And whatever that is. It so happens that in Jeff's case, it's film and television, but he's got a purpose and he's got a mission. And so I knew just being at Howard, and we didn't meet at Howard. So I always have to say that we did not meet at Howard.
Okay.
I came after him.
She's a couple of years younger than me. I'm the great
just
beard.
A few.
She always got to make that point.
I do. I always have to make that point. But
all good.
But even though I trailed behind him at Howard, I knew that I feel like Howard prepared me because I was in it. I was around Black men and Black women who were about it. And so that shaped how I wanted to end up in life with a life partner and then also just professionally, for sure.
You know, when we think about stories, Jeff, and you think about the people who, you know, you said Denzel. When you think about now, it's Denzel and his son in the business. You think about Ice Cube and his son in the business. You think about Issa Rae, who's now in the business. You think about Brian Coogler and Brian Jordan being in the business. And you know that most people, and Will, that they've been on your stage. How does that feel when you know that if they gave you a bigger stage, you could be bigger?
If they gave me a stage, or who's the they in this case?
Whoever you would want it to come from.
You know,
if all of a sudden Netflix would say, you know what, for ABFF, we're gonna do 100 million, and we're gonna let Jeff figure it out. Like, right. And we need a return in like another 25 years.
Right.
So he can burn through 4 million a year just in ideas, because that's not gonna hurt our stock. This is something good. You know, it's just one more entity off to the side. He's still free and it's his, but we're gonna do, because I'm shaping this conversation for people to understand how it happens for others.
I get it.
When you think of the trauma as an entrepreneur, it's always that my biggest dream might cost all the money in the bank I have. So because I love my family, that's not the dream, God. You must have another one for this Black man, because you're not going to give me this play money to say, how much can I burn this month at 4 million for the month, or at least 500,000 to test and learn. You know, and they being the society.
Preach, Munson. Preach.
No, but I'm just saying that they being the society of people that have bet on Quibi, Ozzy, and it's been in the 73 million, 1 billion.
Vine. Half of them gone. Half of them
gone. And yet that bet on something that 25 years paid, you know.
Bet on Black.
Bet on Black, but even bet more on even
legacy.
Seasoned. Because for me, it's an angry argument. I love all my young entrepreneurs, but I'm like, but are you gonna forget Jeff when you give out this 50,000? Is Jeff not gonna qualify because he's been in for 25 years? It's like, is he dreamless or familyless? Which one is it? Because either one of them are true, you know. And at the end of the day, he got just as many entrepreneurs on his payroll, because ain't none young Black child watching another Black entrepreneur that don't got a dream that he's hoping he gonna step right on your shoulder and call you up and say, I need, or that computer that he needed today, that camera, or that for you, the whole Black book that you got, he gets to meet. And he's a Howard young man trying to find a future. What is that? What does that feel like? And what should our ask be for this society that we're kind of maybe not asking out loud as a community because we don't know?
You know, that's an incredible evaluation of who we are as Black business. That's even better than your Howard question to Nicole, because my answer to the Howard question, if I may go back, is Howard gives you a point of view of Black possibilities when you're from the hood. That's what it did for me. But as it relates to this question, I'm going to tell you a story first. So we produce a show called ABFF Honors, and that you've been to. It is for those who don't know, it is our version of the Golden Globes. It's in the same building as the Golden Globes, the Beverly Hilton, the same champagne, the same menu off the catering menu, right? And their budget is this, and it's on ABC or wherever it was, and at NBC, whatever it was, and our budget's this. And one of my guests this last year, we had Jamie Foxx as one of our honorees, and Louis Gossett Jr. and some other people. And Leonardo DiCaprio came and gave Jamie Foxx an award. And one of our guests was a person who had just produced the Oscars, a Caucasian person who had just produced the Oscars a couple of years before that. And she did a great job. And she stopped me at the end of that night. I think Dion Cole was our host that year. And she stopped me and she said, this was better than my show. And I said, I guess you wouldn't guess what I said. First, I said, thank you very much. She said, no, this had more heart than the Oscars. The person who produced it said, our show had more heart than the one that she produced. And I said, I guess you wouldn't believe what I spent on it either. And I told her the number and she almost was floored. The problem that we all have is we're forced to do things with no money and no resources. And it does curtail your dreams. It dims your dreams. Because if I were given that $500,000 R&D budget, or the $4 million burned, I would have a whole new universe. and you're not always rewarded for legacy. No one's come to me, you're rewarded for the moment. Like there might be some entrepreneur, after George Floyd was murdered, a lot of Black people got rewarded with cash because of guilt, and it made people feel good, and they felt they couldn't be oblivious to inequities in the world anymore, right? But it doesn't always go to the most deserving people like us. And no, we don't get rewarded. You've been, how long, what year are you in? 20, how many years are you in now?
I was sitting there thinking about it. I know I made Acapulco, but I might have been the second time you're in Acapulco.
You weren't the first year, because I remember there was only 90 people
right.
there.
I was probably right after that. My team that went down there, I can remember passing out papers. But if you're 25, we were in print, because I remember, I just sidebar, when you have a dream, it was going to a Black agency, and I got a buy, and nobody had ever heard of Rolling Out. And I just got put on the budget, and Pepsi was there, and I had a girl, Ruth, and I was so frustrated because I didn't know anybody. I'm up there selling from Atlanta, and Iris Robinson said, "Well, just come in the room." And Mr. Byron said, "Well, we'll talk to her." And I kind of got thrown in a room with somebody who for the next 10 years groomed me, because she would give me, I didn't know what a media plan was. I was stuck. You were there. It was Hope, Young Brothers, and there was a community, and I tapped in. So I don't know, 24, man.
24.
24.
I'll tell you something else about Byron. I patterned my professional demeanor around you. You know who he is. He was warm and he was gentle. He was firm when he needed to be, but he didn't lead by beating his chest. He led with humility. And I would walk in, and we had all these young cats. We were in our late 20s at the time. And I would walk in his office, and it would be anybody. Like, he would meet with anybody. You didn't have to be the CEO. He didn't just roll with CEOs. Cats that I wouldn't necessarily meet with, they were sitting, he gave everybody time. So the reason I keep bringing him up is because he's one of the few people that I've encountered that really supported me and other people like us.
Sure.
We were young cats, had a dream, and he, just like he supported you and hooked you up with Iris, and and he didn't have a lot of resources to give. He was breaking you off the peanuts that he was getting from the average. You know how the game works,
right? And
we need to do more of that, man. We need more people like that in our professional universe.
Well, I if you had a dream, though, because we really got to say it, the ask of the industry as you see it, Nicole, is, what are you asking for? What would you ask if we were sitting back, you and I, and the CMOs that we send this to are going to bet? Because they got the Black CMO Association. So if we got an association, clearly ABFF is one of the things on their agenda to grow. You know what I mean? Been around 25 years. Want them to, if every one of us can put up, 20 grand for them every year, double that for those who were at Microsoft and Google, and if you're at any consumer brand, and let them get 5 million just to think about, and endow something, just endow. So then all of a sudden at 5 million endowment, all of a sudden Jeff and family know they got $500,000 no matter what happens to spend. Put in some, Black investor firm to manage to make sure you get a 10% return, and it protects. And now you got not only legacy, but you got an opportunity to know that you can breathe a little bit better. What would your ask be?
Exactly that. That's what my ask would be. Exactly that. In addition to honoring and rewarding this man, I think that it's been 25 years, and at our recording of the festival, the team put together a video of thank yous and congratulatory messaging from people who have either worked at the festival over the years, even going back to Acapulco, or have sponsored the festival, or friends of the festival, in some capacity have touched or come through the festival. And in watching that video, Jeff and I both became very emotional, probably for similar or different reasons. One, he obviously as the visionary and the starter of all this, and me just in being side by side with him and watching him and being a part of the struggle and realizing the importance and the effect and the impact that this man has had on the industry and those that have come, those that he has touched. So I would say honoring, rewarding, and providing that endowment that you just mentioned. Absolutely.
And I feel a little differently about it. I'm just going to take it as it comes because I'm so used to not getting what we feel we need that I'm just immune to it now. But I'm so motivated to keep going. It's the strangest thing. Like one of my quotes, Munson, is self-validation is a superpower. I do not need anybody to tell me I'm doing a good job. If my wife and my children and my mama think what I'm doing is great, then I'm gonna keep going. So it would be nice to have some help, but I'm sure you feel the same way. But you know what? It might not come. So what's your game plan? So what we like, yes, that's what we like. Whatever you guys, what you and Nicole just said. What do you do if it doesn't come? You keep going, you move forward, right? So I'm planning on moving forward without the help. And if the help comes, and so be it, the help comes. It'll be a little bit easier and we can impact more people, right? What would you do with the help? We would do more things. We'd impact more people. We'd have a children's thing that we would nurture, because this all starts at 12. It doesn't start with Ryan Coogler at 24. It starts at 12. So we would use those resources to help bring up, to educate and inspire, because everybody doesn't get to Howard either. You know, we would be like kind of we'd have ABFF University, but we would actually have young kids who are interested in arts really connect with people, and it would be an ongoing thing versus this kind of we got 4 events a year now. We just make this make it a real institution. That's what we would do with more resources.
If I could just add, as his wife, I would also like to see all of those people that have come through the festival that have so-called made it now, put him on a pedestal, acknowledge him, honor him. I would like to see them come together and figure something out, and create a platform for it. They give back, if you will.
I'm not going to hold my breath for him.
I'm not saying that you need to hold your breath. I'm saying what I would like to see as your wife. I know you're not gonna hold your breath, but he asked what I would like to see, and that's one of the things that I would like to see.
I'm sorry, Nicole. I think the conversation, Jeff, obviously you as my brother would not say it, but when you think about legacy and how people weren't getting $90 million deals and $300 million deals, and when Black people don't say, kind of the Bledsoe thing, I gave 100 million. So it'd be very different if some Black actor says to the white world, hey, I want to give ABFF $2 million if Netflix or any of the studios that I make money for them, it would give to you. I think it's very different if they said, or Spike says, and y'all may not know Jeff at Cannes, but Jeff has created his own cans for Black people. I think that's what my sister, as I'm interpreting in this class, is saying. I think we have to say it out loud. My validation is because at the end of the day, my wife would say, I have it on my terms. Like, that's kind of how I say it. I ain't rich. I don't hurt. I thank God for what I got, but it's on my terms, love. I've kind of made that determination. It's gonna be on my terms. You ain't gonna never be hungry. You won't have to ask. You won't have to worry about the check. You won't have to worry about the house.
I think y'all the same. Munson, when's your birthday? I think you guys are like the same people. I swear.
It's gonna be.
Because that's just that. I swear.
It's gonna be on my terms, because at the end of the day, Jeff has son. I don't want my sons to think that the world will validate you. They might miss you, but you don't have to miss you. And I think that even for other Black men, if there's a lesson, one of my favorite people is Margaret Burroughs. And she wrote this book, the creator of the first Black museum. She wrote a book called What You Must Tell Your Child Because They're Black. Like, there's a conversation in this generation that is often missed. So what you asking for, Nicole, is what should Black paid people do for people who have paved the road for you and look back? Like how do you look back like other community. So but on your own terms, it's because I got to keep these lips on my face, Nicole. I can't walk around acting like you wasn't the same guy I met 20 years ago, because you still that same guy. You's not, even though they loving you, but I loved you first. So love me back is all you saying. But like a bro can't walk about, you got some love for me?
Right.
Yeah, if I did that, and I'd have to have recorded the conversation when you was not who you is, and you was calling and said, can I get some free pages and some free ads and da 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 da, because I don't want to have to, I'm not going to hold you to that. Yeah. You know you did it to me. You know you called. You know you got more than I had. You know you didn't pay me. I still printed. I still paid for the writer. I still put you on the panel. I still connected you with the people that were in the room. I still had your film. I still said you were the shit. And now you haven't passed me $1,000. Somebody said, well, why do I want to be a part of this? I said, history will write it, that I love Jeff Friday and his family. And I said out loud, thank you for advertising and paying Munson Steed. I said it out loud. I don't want to be the hider. Yes, I will pay to do the photo shoot. Yes, I will spend my time with my community, because history will not write that I didn't think Jeff Friday was the shit. And if I have to do a festival of a film festival, I'm gonna say, Jeff, how do we collaborate? And you the man, you run it. I don't have to start my own. I got way too many people that can say, this is ours, we do it with him, it's on February, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to start my own. I'm out of that. I'm good. You know, so what I hear my brother saying from his heart is, you know, my wife, I'm never gonna show my sons how to beg. I'm never gonna illustrate to them that they need validation from somebody other than the two people that created them, because they're Black. I don't want them to ever believe that they need somebody smiling at them so much that they lose themselves, like many people in the business that we see. They lose themselves. You know, the Black Bourgeoisie was written by E. Franklin Frazier and he was a professor at Howard. So the tenets that are inside you are significant. There's a med school, so you wake up, there's a med school at that college. So the doctor possibility of healing people and healing minds, you just didn't go to the med school. You just learned that, okay, I'll heal and give people an idea. But anyhow.
Preach.
So in closing, if you were going to talk, Nicole, to the young people that were going to take this journey again, because they're going to take it, and they're going to start something that they believe in, what would you tell them to get ready for, particularly women, given that this ride in this world is asking more of Black women than they've ever asked of you? They want some of your everything. What would you say to young women and young CEOs, young presidents, all of those things, young women who want it all? They want to be president, they want to have families, they want to have husbands. What would you tell her possibilities are, given the fact that ABFF and you and Jeff have created at least your own, what I consider the Black universe? When you're an entrepreneur, you've got a company, and you're able to at least feed yourself and not, and pick your own cotton. At least that's how I tell them I do it, Jeff. I pick my own cotton. You know, if they ever ask, I pick my own cotton. That's what I do. So, you know.
I would say prepare for the challenges ahead. The opportunities and the possibilities are vast, but it ain't easy. There's nothing that is easy, and there are no overnight successes. You know, people think that, you know, we like to say that mainstream media, it took us 25 years for mainstream media to know who we are. It took all 25 years for them to really recognize. And I think that as a woman and any entrepreneur person who wants to follow in this path, first of all, I would say create your own path. But I would say that the opportunities are endless and vast, but there's going to be challenges, and stay on course. And there is no one, certainly there is no one path to success, if you want to call this successful. But there is no one path, but you just gotta stay on course and know that there's going to be obstacles in your way, and you just got to figure out how to go around those. And there's gonna be lots of tears.
If you were going to describe the title to your movie, the Jeff Friday show, and obviously it's a documentary on your life, and I think everybody should have a documentary that they see. That, you know, don't let them do the documentary after you're gone. And tell young people, don't call me a legend unless, you know, you put living in front of it, because outside of that, I don't want to hear that. But if you had, they were going to pick a title for your movie, the one that you've had so far, what would the title be of your movie? And then who would play you from Hollywood? The three guys that could just kind of play you as you think about it. And then
Wow.
out of this, you know, I'm getting you in trouble now, would be your co-star, your leading lady that would play.
I love that. That's a good question. Great question, Munson. You are.
Okay, so
I love talking to you. Your questions are always so good.
yeah,
So, that's
yeah.
great. Great
Munch
question.
Munch is a thinker.
He's a thinker.
He's a
Yeah.
thinker. If it was a professional doc, it would be called Because Hollywood. That's actually my mantra as it relates to what I do professionally. If it was a personal doc, it would, this ain't so interesting, but it would be Loving Black People would be my personal doc. Because what guides me, and I always say this in smaller rooms, but I don't love Black films as much as I love Black people. I actually probably less of a film fan than most people would think. I enjoy films and TV, but what I really, really get off on is elevated and empowered Black people. And Black excellence is what I love. Playing me would probably be somebody like two of my favorite younger actors, probably in their 30s. If we kind of started when I started at 30, Nate Parker's a great actor. Andre Holland would probably play me. He's probably my favorite young actor in that 30 to 35 bucket. We got similar, that 5'10" physicality kind of thing. That would probably be my Andre Holland would probably play me. And my co-star, that's a tough one. I'm gonna leave that one alone, but
Want to hear it? It's not. Listen, I already said I'm gonna fly home, so it's all good.
No, I'm not going there. But I think I enjoy so many young. There's so many talented young Black actresses today that I'm just going. I'm going to lay into my old man wisdom right now. I'm not going to name a name.
Well, you know, your brother pick up for you. You know, I would go in and I would probably do about 4 of them. I would have somebody doing some tribute at the end so that the current Taraji could act like this was a moment in time and y'all are watching 2 boys graduate from college and she's saying something. And then I would probably go right back down and then get a Holly Berry so that she could say something. And then I would come down to a Megan Good, and I'd probably do it as these women have ascended, and then get down to that 20-something group of where there are now 1,000 of them. But there wasn't 1,000. They wasn't even on no TV shows. You know, I mean,
there are a lot of Black people working there.
They weren't putting no Black people on Vogue when I started. Like y'all don't get what that is, and I'm still putting them on. And a friend of mine said, "Well, why are you putting Michael Eric Dyson? He's not in the demographic." But I said, he's been in the movement. Like y'all would discount people based on age because that's what they tell you to do, and these people. Ronald Reagan and Confederate statues, but y'all don't get it. You know, y'all discount age, y'all discount value. It's the whole thing. So that's kind of how I would do the leading lady, obviously, in allowing a lot of excellent characters, because the one thing that I think you've been an excellent character playing in the life of everybody. You know what I mean? Kind of like I would probably do you at some table in Hollywood, and they would kind of like, but remember when, and you could be talking about all the complaints that everybody was having 25 years ago. This wasn't it. And Disney wasn't that guy.
Nobody was working.
And you see what I'm saying, Nicole? So we got
I love it.
Them kind of movies where they get to talk about it, and then you, at the end of the movie, you got all the people around you saying, because they do it for Al Pacino and De Niro, and then they got him sitting in the back, and there's you and Denzel, and he said, well, you know, man, I'm gonna go on over to Hollywood. I know they're trying to back down. Yeah, Jeff, and, you know, I really appreciate it. Then his son said, you want me to drive you, Dad? And Ice Cube said, yeah, man, I'm still making a banger, and my young hustler got it, but we got 3-on-3, Jeff. Piece, you know, was great. And then, of course, you bring in Chris Tucker, because none of these people were there. And then, of course, Kevin said, how y'all going to leave me out of a movie? And, you know, it's that kind of thing that I would do just as I finish my movie. But I love you both.
Hey, brother.
Love you,
love you back. And so much respect for you.
Yes.
So much respect for you and what
So
you
much.
accomplished. And we got to grind and continue to grind together, brother. We all we got. You know,
we're gonna ask more loudly, but
exactly.
Because we met, I love you because you've given me so much, and because you've given the community. Know that we love and respect the both of you. See you real soon. All right, my
brother.
I appreciate you, Munson.
All right.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, Portia.
She's
Bye.
turning it off. This is
Chelsea.
Nicole, Jeff Friday. Peace to everybody. Peace to the publicists. We love you for putting it all together. Thanks, Portia.